Hey everyone, today on Hello Susan we're going to do something a little bit different. I've mentioned it a few times that I do ribbon embroidery and sewing and everything. So I recently redid my basket that I hold all of my ribbon embroidery in, and so I thought I would share it with you. Hope it's something that is interesting to you. So the first thing I did was paint it blue and then whitewashed it with some a white paint so it wasn't quite so dark. Of course, you know blue and pink are my favorite colors. So I have some fabric in my craft room that I have my curtains made out of, and so I use some of that fabric to cut out the floral out of it, and then I decoupaged that on. And then the handles, I took strips of it and wrapped it around and around and around and around so it just covers up those handles. Now this is going to be a little bit hard for me to film, but I hope that I can get it done for you. It's a pretty big box. It's about 12 inches this way and 9 inches this way. And in order for you to see, inside, I have to kind of move it real close to me so that I can open it up and you can see it. I think you're going to be delighted. I sure was when I made it. That's the lid. I don't know how I came up with that, but I just knew that I wanted something fantasy-wise, and this is what came up. So all of these flowers are silk. I do have some flowers that came off of old hats, so they're kind of velvety and kind of dingy looking and beautiful. Here's a pin that's probably from the 50s or 60s that I put right there. Right here in the center, I made a pin cushion, and that's where I stuck all the needles, and these are the colors that I was using last. And so they just sit right there. Okay, and let's see. Let me go up this way now so you can see inside the bottom. And so around the edges right here, some of that Rococo trim, and it's blue and green. And then as you can see, well, you can't really see it that great. We'll see what happens. I will try to find a way to show you, but it's just the inside that I lined with that fabric from the curtains. Now here's my little needle book that I do have a video on. I'll put a link in the description box so that you can look at that if you haven't seen it, but I won't take the time to show it since I have a video already. But this is something that I did in the last few months. Isn't it beautiful? I just love it. Okay, now inside here I have a little box. This turned out good, but not great. I mean, I think it looks beautiful, but it's one of those little tin boxes, and it needs to close better. It closes, but not so great. So I thought I was going to be able to make those, but this will be the last one I ever make. But I did put a picture on the inside, and I put lace, and I put follow your heart, put some fabric in the bottom and some trim. It's got some scissors and a seam ripper and some straight pins with the butterflies. And then on the top it's got a bird with a nest, and then this is a little flower with a rhinestone for the center, and then I put all the trim and the trim around the edges and covered the whole box with fabric. It took me hours, and it just got too stiff. It just really wasn't meant to be totally covered with fabric, I don't think, but it's a treasure now for my ribbon embroidery box, so I love it. These are just empty threads of empty thread spools, and I just printed off some pictures of some roses so that it would look pretty. And this is some ribbon embroidery, the ribbon, because I buy it by the bulk, and I can also put a link in the description box. It's from Dharma Trading Company, and you can buy it white, and then you can dye it any color you want. And that's what I did with most of my trims. I don't want to get my head in there, but then I also have some store-bought trims, and I have them right here, and I have them all tied together with blue bows so that it's coordinating. Let's see, there's some beads to sew on, and then these are those clothespins, and then see how you can see all the different colors. So all you do to do that, if you're interested, I can do a video on dyeing so that you can make your own colors. But all of these, I have these over here are store-bought, and all of these at the bottom, they're all ones that I dyed myself. And then here's a needle cleaner right there. That's just a little book that tells you some things. There's some butterflies so I can add them to my work when I want to. I do have a couple of projects that I would like to show you that I've completed. So let me move this out of the way. Let me know how you like the basket. I love it. It just gives me a thrill every time I open it up and look at it. Okay, let's see. Here's the first one. It's a pillow, and it's a crazy quilting style. Let me see, I can go in a little further so you can see it better. So you can see all the stitching and stuff. So what I did was I just took a lot of fabrics that I liked and just kind of put them together. I made a pattern and then realized later that was just ridiculous. You can just sew any which way you want to. But each little section, I added some things. So like here I've got some French knots. This ribbon right here is rayon seam binding that I put little beads and tied it in place with the beads. Then over here on this side you can see a rose, and then also this is trim that's got some little pearls in the center. I did some little daisies, and that's the daisy stitch. And then here I did a little swirl with some little French knots. Added beads. These are all glass beads right there. And then these are glass beads that I made a vine out of right there. And let's see, this is some trim that actually came with the pearls. This is flowers, just silk flowers that I took off the stems, and then I used beads for the centers to sew them in place, and then used the silk embroidery technique for the leaves. This was part of the fabric. This is what got me started, was this fabric right here. And it had already this sewn on it. And let's see, here's some more. Let's see where we're going. Oh, I'm sorry. Here, I gotta think backwards. I'm trying to get to here. Okay, here's some ribbon roses with some leaves. And then here's some trim. Here's some little glass butterfly beads. And then I put some antennas in pink and put little beads at the end. Some more of that swirl that's all French knots, and then bigger French knots for the flowers. And then over here again is that trim that's got the pearls in the center. And these little appliques were white, and I dyed them by just putting dye and letting it take over and fill in. You gotta get it, like I've got some on the leaves too. You just can't be too perfect with that because it's going to bleed over. But that's the pillow I made. And then here is another one that I did. This is a heart, and it's just made out of fabric, nothing fancy or anything. I wanted it to look very rustic. As a matter of fact, I think that this is cup towel fabric. And then inside I put lavender, so it's very squishy. And this is some trim that I put right there. Underneath is a picture of myself in the center. My mother was right here, and this is my older sister, Vicky. And these are ribbon roses that I did on top of that. And then these are some vintage buttons that I added. And then this is flower petals. And then I put some bangle beads in the center and made it into a butterfly because it had 4 petals, and I cut some off just to make that. So that is the last thing I want to show you. So thanks so much. Let me know if you're interested in this type of thing, because I definitely can keep doing it and show you some other things and show you how if you don't know exactly. Okay, well, thanks so much for joining me today. See you next time. Bye-bye.